Hello everyone, my name is Brayden, this is Airless Cool 9, and in today's video I actually have some unfortunate news. So my friends and I recorded part 38 of Sands of Doom, and unfortunately the recording software I'm using, OBS, decided not to record any of my audio, even though it's been working perfectly fine and I haven't changed any settings. It just for some reason decided to switch the mic ops to a different setting, and because of that it didn't record any of my audio. So unfortunately, because of that, the 3 hours and 45 minutes of recording that we did for the session has the voices of all my friends, but you can't hear me throughout any of the audio. So because of that, I'm gonna have to now give you a synopsis of what happened in the episode. Thankfully, there weren't any big major fights in the episode, like I kind of thought there might be. It was mostly just conversational and role play. There weren't any major story beats that occurred as well, so you're not gonna miss anything really major story-wise. There are some really important things that the characters learn, which I will touch upon, but I'm going to talk about all of that. So in the first 45 minutes of the episode, the player characters started off by interrogating Morgiana about what her role is and what she does for the Vizier, and try to discover why the Vizier is trying to murder Raynor. Basically, all she could tell them was that one day, which happened to be the day that Raynor pulled the Flames card from the deck of many things, the Vizier just suddenly had it switch flip in his head, basically, and told Morgiana to grab something of import from Raynor's bedroom, which she did, and then she was told by the Vizier pretty soon afterward that she needed to assassinate him. She wasn't aware of any of the motivations behind such a thing, but she said that the Vizier just had like a complete flip on how she felt about Raynor as a character, essentially. Other things they asked is about the slave mark. She explained that since she was not a citizen of Al-Karat when the mark was placed on her, the slave mark wasn't placed illegally in the city of Al-Karat, so that was a thing that they couldn't use against the Vizier. The only real evidence that they have is that Morgiana is the one that performed the assassination mission, and she's done other unscrupulous things, but most of that has really boiled down to her being a counter spy against those who try to investigate or assassinate the Vizier. So that's really her whole role in the Vizier's in the Vizier's under the Vizier's peer, or eye rather. So they got all the information, and then Kiara had the great idea to feed Morgiana one of Gulner's flowers that they had. So she did that, and because of how Gulner's flower works, that completely took away the slave mark from her thing and completely removed all the magical connections and stuff from that. So the flower is no longer affecting her because of that. So she's completely free from the slave mark now, which is great. Unfortunately, I had to place a limiter on Gulner's flowers, and because of that, I rolled a really low number on the I came up with a system where every time they used a Golden Flower, I would roll a D100. If they rolled and the DC, I rolled a D100. The DC went up by 10% after every flower use. So the second flower was, of course, a 20% chance of all the other flowers just wilting and dying. And unfortunately, I rolled 15, so they lost the remainder of Golden's flowers, which made Kiara's player very sad. But it was a noble sacrifice because now they have a permanent ally in Morgiana. Thankfully, she informed them that the Vizier has odd hours of resting. He sleeps from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., I think, is what the book says. So she came exactly at the time where he would be asleep so that in case anything happened while she was here, she could try to help the party. So that occurred. And since they didn't know what to do with Morgiana and they didn't have a place for her to hide, because as soon as the Vizier awoke, he would realize that the slave mark was gone and he would begin searching for Morgiana. Soros decided to use the Emerald Hourglass to time hop Morgiana 24 hours into the future. So that happened. So because of that, Morgiana will appear in the morning of the next day inside of Naven's manor, or the Crown Royal Manor. So once all that occurred, and they talked about what else to do from there, I informed them that the Enchanted Gala, the auction, was occurring all day. So they began to get ready for the gala, and when they did take a quick pit stop at the Grand Bazaar. Naven ended up buying 2 spell scrolls of shield and 1 spell scroll of enlarge reduce. Oh, the other thing, they asked a lot of questions about the Vizier, about Morgiana, so she explained like some of his habits, like he doesn't like touching things, he's kind of a germaphobe. He's, in her mind, extremely lazy because he has her do everything for him, like write missives and carry things and just all this mundane sort of activity. So, and they were asking, they're starting to kind of catch on that Vizier may be some sort of fiend, because they had Melissa cast Legend Lore to ask specifically what the Flames card pertains to. And what the Flames card does, it pits a powerful devil after the person that pulls the card. And that enmity causes the devil to strive to bring about the ruin of the person that drew the card. And that curse only, or that not necessarily curse, that effect only ends when either the devil or the character dies. So now they're kind of in the know that the Vizier must be some type of fiend. They don't know what. So they're trying to determine how they could go about solving this. And Topaz is a player made an excellent point that even if they killed the Vizier, then likely that wouldn't be a permanent death, because most fiends, not all fiends, but most fiends immediately are resurrected in the plane that they originate from. So I had them roll an Arcana check just to confirm what they know about fiends in general. Topaz rolled 20, which is why she was pertinent to that specific information. Naven rolled quite poorly, but Kiara's character rolled a natural 20 on her Arcana check, so I gave her a bit of additional information because a nat 20 is special. So I told her, based on all the information that she's heard currently, and based on all the weird quirks and personality traits of the Vizier, the fact that he only eats meat, which is something that Morgiana told them, Kiara kind of came to the conclusion that the type of fiend that best fit those specific quirks basically was a Rakshasa. Now, they have no physical evidence that that is true, but because of that 20, that's the information that I gave that character. So that is the current theory that they're running with, is that the Vizier is a Rakshasa in disguise, even though they have no evidence of that being true currently. Now, with that information, they went to the Grand Bazaar, Naven bought a couple spells, and then they went to the Eternal Theater. Inside the Eternal Theater, they worked their way into the theater is split into two levels. There's the main level, which has a large theater, which hosts a bunch of plays and things like that. But and the kitchen is up there as well. But there's also a lower part, which is where the auction was happening. So I placed them on this map so they could kind of explore a little bit, and this opened up into this chamber, which was decadently decorated and had like a big hanging chandelier. There was a pianist playing music. There was a bunch of people commingling and talking. Kiara's character went and immediately talked to the guard because they wanted to speak with Zakaro, because when the rest of the Golner's flowers turned into basically wilted away, they realized that they better go inform him. So they went up here and they spoke with Master Zakaro and told Master Zakaro basically, hey, something happened with the flower, don't feel bad about it, nothing. It's not their fault, because they Master Zakaro and the theater thought that someone had broken in and particularly stole the flower, since it just basically disappeared in the blink of an eye. So they were kind of freaking out about that, but turns out that was just a mishap. So fortunately, there was no monetary gain from that flower that they were trying to put on auction. Now, they did come here, and they started to commingle. I showcased some new art for Arbiter Lucy, which we found. Decided to update her artwork, which is nice. There it is. And Naven went and talked to them for a little bit, said that he wanted to talk with them later on. The Sultana had a council meeting later in that day, so she couldn't come that evening, but they plan on meeting the following morning to discuss, because the group really wants to tell them about what they know about the Vizier, because they're hoping that some of the more powerful people in the city can help them with the Vizier, since the Vizier has it out for Raynor. So they had a short conversation, which resulted in them confirming that they were going to meet the following morning. So then I had them kind of mingle about a little bit. They went into this bottom room here. Naven and Kiara ended up playing some D20 roulette. which I think Naven ended up winning 250 gold, and Kiara ended up winning, I want to say 300 gold, is what I remember, since I recorded this just the day before. I believe those numbers are accurate. So that happened. And yeah, they wanted a little bit of money, and then we moved on to the auction. Topaz had a little a little misadventure in the back room, but didn't end up stealing anything. Rainer had a conversation with Zaluna about the deed to Kunatan Keep. Just wanted to make sure, really, that she didn't have a problem with him now having ownership of it, since really the keep belonged to her father before his passing in when the Anubians appeared. And then Rainer managed to notice that Salem, the Vizier's cat, showed up and was sitting in his seat. You can see on the DM layer I had the Vizier's token ready to pull out at a moment's notice, because I knew he was going to show up eventually. I just hadn't decided exactly when. So yeah, they had a quick conversation. There wasn't any hard feelings. Zeluna said, go for it. Just she would like to visit every now and again, since it's where her father spent his final days. And they agreed that was perfectly fine and valid. So with that, everyone sat down for the auction, and then I got to Topaz started exploring some of the back rooms to see what was going on there. There's a group of guards in one of the back rooms, which is where they pass all the auctioned items out into this room to be cataloged and prepared for transport. So she saw that particular room. And then she found a dancing short sword, and she didn't want to steal it because she didn't want to get caught on it. So she tried to forge the amount that the item was supposed to be sold for. And the all these items that were in the auction had winning bids. So if you paid the winning bid, you would win the item, and then there was a chance that you ended up paying less for it, depending on how well you rolled on a persuasion or a deception check. So Topaz tried to forge something. She did not have a forgery kit. She didn't really have any good form of writing utensil. She maybe had some charcoal, so I had her roll a dex check at disadvantage. She rolled a 5, and actually she rolled a natural 1 at that, which was really funny. So she ended up doubling the price of that item, which was supposed to be 3,000, so it was now 6,000. So that was kind of funny, because the dancing sword is a really good item. But yeah, she ended up doubling the price of that, funnily enough. So then we got to the auction. So the auction began. Zakaro went into this big spiel to introduce everyone and thank them for all coming. And then they started the bidding on some of the lower items on the list. There's like a filter of love. There was a immovable rod. There's a handband of intellect. There's a bunch of tiny things. No one really bid on those. The only point that the players started to bid on things was when we got to some of the unique items that would only be showcased here at the auction. So we had a bottle of endless sand that appeared. No one bid on that, unfortunately. We had the Burnous of 1,001 Thorns. No one bid on that, but there were people that were interested in it. There was the Glass of Distance, which people were interested in, but they didn't bid on it because the winning bid was 5,000 gold, and they were saving their money for the Knife of Topaz. There is the Goggles of the Desert, which were purchased by Kiara, I believe, for 300 gold. Let me pull up my little info sheet. 320 gold is what those were purchased for. The skin of the desert camel was purchased by Kiara as well, I believe, for 300 gold pieces. And then there was a Errata repelling sand, which was not bid for. And then there was slashing sand, which Rainer purchased for 400 gold pieces. Then we got to the really important items. First up was a double-barreled Grimfire pistol, which basically functions as just a Grimfire pistol, as you've seen in the previous videos. Deals 40-10 piercing damage, has a range of 30 to 90 feet. It explodes and deals fire damage when it hits. The important thing about this is this particular pistol has 2 barrels on it. So, mechanically, Rainier can use a bonus action after they fire a shot to swap the barrels. And then they can spend another attack to fire the second one. So this Grimfire pistol has a built-in function to where it can fire 2 shots in a turn as long as the barrels are swapped. So that is something really important. With that, they also, with that particular item in the auction, they were also giving away a pouch of Grimfighter powder, which had 10 shots with it. And there was also a lesson for Grimfire weapon proficiency. So whoever took that lesson, which is supposed to take 8 hours and is with a dwarven gunslinger, whoever does that will then gain proficiency with pistols and muskets. So I believe Kiara is going to take that lesson in a later episode. Probably not in the foreseeable future because they have a couple things that they want to do, but they will end up doing that to gain proficiency in those 2 weapons, so that they can use Grimfire weaponry in this setting. After that, I pulled out Bobby, the war-bred hippopotamus. Bobby was retrieved from a orcish war camp. They had killed some seekers of the sunken flame and were tracked down by a bunch of adventurers who slaughtered the camp. And they found a hippopotamus that was that could understand the orcish language. It had been trained by the orcs, which was quite unique and rare, since orcs typically use dinosaurs as mounts. So Bobby is essentially one of a kind in that nature. And yeah, Bobby was on auction, and they started a bidding war for it against this particular tiefling woman called Galena, who was taking care of Bobby before the auction began, so she kind of grew an attachment to it. So there was a bidding war going on. Kiara used the harpy feather to put her asleep, which was really funny. So she didn't end up winning the auction, much to her dismay. And the party won Bobby the hippopotamus for 780 gold pieces. So that was the outcome of that. Because of that, I showed them off the stat block, because now they have Bobby as a mount if they want to use her, or they could use her as a pet to send into combat, because she does have a devastating bite. They also want a tiny little booklet that has common orcish phrases that they can use to command Bobby, which in reality is only 5 gold pieces worth, so not a big thing there. And after that, we got to the Knife of Topaz. They started auctioning off the Knife of Topaz, which is what the party was really here to bid for. So they started bidding on that item. There was kind of a bidding war between this dwarf here, which they didn't learn the name of, but his name was Doragumir. And they also were bid against by the ambassador from the city of Brass, Yasar al-Fajir. So there was a bidding war for the Knife of Topaz. They went back and forth. Dor Gumir bid up to 10,000. Then Yasar al-Fajir bid up to 12,000 gold pieces because he really wanted the item. And then Topaz tried to do some chicanery. She dropped a dagger at the ambassador's foot. Tried to make a deception check to make everyone think that he had brought a weapon into the auction, so it stalled the auction. There was a quick investigation, but Yasar ended up surpassing Topaz's deception check, so nothing became of that. So the auction went on, and then Naven had to shell out 13,000 gold pieces in order to win the Knife of Topaz in the auction. So they now have access to the Knife of Topaz. It is currently inert, but they have ways to restore its power, thankfully. So yeah, now they have the Knife of Topaz in their possession. After the auction, they realized that the Vizier had suddenly appeared. No one noticed him come in, but he was suddenly in his chair, petting his cat. So I believe Kiara went to speak with him just to kind of pull some wool over the Vizier's eyes, leading into they didn't know where Morgiana was and was asking him, like, where is she, so that they could kind of deceive that they didn't know anything about Morgiana. And it seems that that worked because the Vizier rolled poor insight and Kiara rolled high deception. After that, Zeluna, the niece of the Sultana, and Lucy decided to Naven wanted to speak with them, so they decided to get lunch with him. Or, sorry, not lunch, dinner with him. And they exited the auction together. The Sultana and the Vizier went to the Ruby Palace because there is a meeting in the Merchant Council that they needed to attend that evening. And for the most part, everyone else is going to Rainer's home. It's not Rainer's home. Naven's mansion to try to figure out what to do with Rainer since the Vizier is still out for him. But they don't know when he's going to strike next. Naven and Kiara took a step out with Arbiter Lucy and Arbiter Zeluna and spoke with them and told them, hey, the Vizier is up to some stuff. We think that he may be a fiend. We don't have any evidence to support this, but we know that he sent his assistant to assassinate Rainer, and she can corroborate this and give a statement. So Lucy, after like conversing with them, Zeluna went to go speak with the Sultana after their meeting so that she could advise her to come to the Temple of the Five-Pointed Star and have a meeting with them in the morning when Morgiana would give her statement. And Lucy advised Naven and company to bring Morgiana to the temple, since it is so the temple is basically a separate entity from Al-Karat and is not bound to its laws, so she would essentially have diplomatic immunity while in its bounds, so she would be safe there, and then she could give an official statement that they could write down. So that was agreed on. Zeluna went to go speak with her aunt to set up that meeting in the morning, and Lucy and Naven went off to have dinner together. The rest of the party, as I stated previously, are going to Naven's manor to figure out what to do with Rainer for the time being, since they're afraid for his life. And that's really where the session kind of ended. I did have the tiefling that tried to bid on the hippopotamus show up again at the end, basically trying to sell her services to take care of Bobby, since she had grown a attachment to him. So they told her to come back in a few days, and Naven may or may not hire her to take care of their pack animals. So that may be something that happens in the future. Other than that, because they procured the knife of Topaz, the party leveled up to level 9. So they spent a little bit of time conversing about what they were getting from that. So that will be all their new goodies will be present in the next episode. But really, other than that, nothing else of import happened. So this session was basically roleplay, learning some of the secrets of the Vizier through Morgiana, and then attending the Enchanted Gala and participating in the auction and buying a bunch of magic items. So that was really the whole gist of this episode. So I hope this kind of helped. I'm sorry that the recording got messed up and you couldn't watch it live, or at least the way that I intended this episode to be watched. But it is what it is. I have my audio working now, so next time you will actually be able to hopefully enjoy the next episode. But yeah, this is my summary of what happened in episode or part 38. So hope this helped. Wanted to keep you guys all up to date on what happened in this episode so that you weren't caught off guard by anything. And now you should be clued into everything that happened. So yeah, I hope this is the last time I have to do something like this. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate your support. If you watch this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Dungeons and Dragons content from me and are enjoying the Sands of Doom series. Until the next episode, I'll catch you all later. See ya.